Hi, this is Fran Torsen. We're talking today about building a blueprint for a real estate social media policy. This is a presentation for real estate brokers and managers who are interested in minimizing their risk and maximizing their effectiveness in their online marketing and advertising. There's a great deal of risk involved in real estate, in marketing and advertising on many, many fronts. There are legal and regulatory agencies, many who govern real estate industry. Starting with fair housing on the federal level, the Federal Trade Commission, state licensing authorities have a very, very complex sets of rules and regulations that are very, very different from one state to the next. Regulation Z is for anybody who's marketing information about mortgage products or mortgage loan amounts in connection with properties. There are credit laws and truth in lending, and all of these are very, very important, and all of these are things that real estate brokers have to keep in mind and keep at the top of their mind whenever they are marketing or advertising any of their real estate. These are things that are becoming more important as more people are coming into the marketing space, and as more vendors and marketing professionals start reaching out to real estate agents, real estate licensees to offer their services. They're doing that with their eye on the tools and their eye on some marketing strategies, but they don't necessarily have a really, really good idea about the rules that govern the industry. Besides the laws that govern the industry and real estate agents who are members of the National Association of Realtors must abide by the Realtor Code of Ethics, and that is also very, very specific. There are two articles in that Code of Ethics that come into play in the online space, in the online world, Article 12 and Article 15, that govern honesty and being forthright, and lots of things that that make sense on many, many levels, that mirror what state licensing authorities talk about, but which actually are becoming very, very problematic in epidemic proportions as more and more people are breaking the code of ethics, or violating the code of ethics, disparaging each other, and adopting some real estate practices that really are not very, very good. So again, we've got to take a look at legal and regulatory issues and ethical issues, and that's where the risk is. So who am I? Why am I doing this? Why should you even bother to listen to me? Well, my name is Frances Flynn Torsen, and I am the co-author with Marcy Rogo of the Real Estate Social Media Policy and Procedure Manual. We published the first Real Estate Social Media Policy and Procedure Manual in 2009, and we are putting together an updated version now, as well as a broker implementation guide and some additional training for real estate brokers. I've been teaching and training about real estate for many years. I have been in real estate since 1985. I have been blogging, I have been writing, I have been teaching. In fact, I had the first real estate course for continuing education in the country about real estate social media risk management back in 2009. Marcy Rogo is a very, very esteemed educator. Marcy teaches also social media risk management as well as general broker policies and procedures, and she has another policy and procedure manual. She's a CRB trainer, and she is also an expert witness, and she's been working with many, many errors and omissions companies for many, many years all around the country, helping real estate agents testifying in court and dealing with all of those issues. So we have been working very, very hard to bring you the latest edition of the Policy and Procedure Manual, and what I'm doing right now is just laying some of the groundwork to put some of this into context. So whose job is it actually to create a social media policy in a company? Well, of course, the buck stops at the broker. The broker has the ultimate responsibility. The broker is accountable to the legal authorities and to the Association of Realtors. The legal authority is very, very important, and a broker has a lot of stuff to do. And what I'm suggesting is that a broker marshal all of the talents of people in 4 different areas of expertise. Since most of what we're talking about happens in the marketing arena, then the person in the company or in a brokerage who is responsible overall for marketing is a very, very good person to engage in the policy making operation, because that's very, very fundamental. The person responsible for IT, for the computers in a company, is also very, very important, because that is a person who is working with domain names, with email services, with the tools, and with so many of the apparatus that connects this web of tools and techniques that are used in the marketing and for the marketing and for the listings. If there is a person besides the broker in the company, or if there is a team who is charged with monitoring compliance and educating about compliance, then those are good people to weave into the mix here, to bring into the program. And of course, anybody in the office who has a handle on reputation management, reputation technology, is very, very important. So those are the 4 key areas of expertise that are the most important in developing the initial blueprint for a real estate policy and procedure manual. Now, when you're going to plan and lay out your initial planning, we have found that really there are two areas where we want to concentrate. One is on the problems, the stuff that people are doing wrong, the mistakes that people are making, the things they're doing that are getting people into trouble. Disparaging people, having domain names that belong to other brokerages, lots of other stuff. That is extremely important. And to be honest with you, that was pretty much the full focus of our attention when we initially started to work with the Policy Procedure Manual back in 2009. But we have discovered in the meantime what is equally as important as the caveats and the warnings is some good direction about best practices moving forward. Not only, what not to do with email, what not to do, but how to do it right. If there are issues of disclosure about an identification of a real estate brokerage and in identifying an agent and a brokerage in a proper way, then we're going to talk about proper ways of doing things, and proper ways of doing things from the standpoint of risk, as well as maximizing your outreach, generating more leads, making more money, being able to work with more prospects. One of the problems that real estate agents and brokers have, especially real estate brokers who have been in business for a long time, you've got a lot of really great real estate brokers in the business who know about real estate, who are very, very cognizant about real estate law, about real estate regulations, about their duties to buyers and sellers, about fiduciary concerns, about the law of agency, about disclosure. And for whatever reason, this whole matter of marketing and marketing technology and the internet has kind of, just not really connected with a lot of small brokerages, even a lot of larger brokerages, and they just haven't got it. And what's happening in some areas is that you have a lot of younger, I will say younger, some people who have a really good handle on the tech, who are now getting a lion's share of the business. And they're getting a lion's share of the business, and they're collecting a lot of prospects, and they're working with a lot of people. And in all cases, they're not necessarily the most savvy agents. They don't necessarily have the best people skills one-on-one. They may not be the best negotiators. They may be the best marketers, but they're not necessarily the people who are the people you want to be working with, the agents you want to be working with at the end of the day. The people that you want negotiating your contract, representing you as a consumer in a transaction. So if you're a broker manager, and you fit into this bucket, then you'll be happy to know that this program comes, with both. And on the caveat side, we're going to be talking about lots of different things and lots of different issues. You know, we're going to talk about ESI. ESI is electronically stored information. Back in 2006, the United States federal court system announced amendments to the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, and these govern discovery of ESI, electronically stored information. Now, ESI is email and other data. Now, what they're saying is that all ESI must be must be archived, because if you are sued, you have to present that data, for discovery in a civil lawsuit. And if you can't, you may lose. So these rules apply to all existing technology as well as stuff that we haven't even thought about yet. So these rules are very, very important. These cover so many different types of data, okay? And it covers this data on many, many levels. So whether you are creating the data, whether you acquired it from somebody else, whether you just retained it or archived it, you need to keep it all. This includes email, includes instant messages, text messages, any kind of social media communications between an agent and a consumer, or an agent and another agent. All of the web files, the documents, the spreadsheets, the databases, presentations, text files, memos, letters, PDFs, video files, audios, and any voicemail messages that are received as email messages. All of these must be kept. They must be archived. And if you are sued, you must be able to present the copies of this data for discovery, and if you don't, you can lose the lawsuit. It's as simple as that. A policy should include provisions on dealing with Article 12 and Article 15 of the Realtor Code of Ethics. It should include provisions about domain names, what's acceptable and what's not. There are, certain trademarks where you have to stay away from certain words. You can't use the word realtor in most cases. You have to be very, very careful if you're advertising HUD homes and you're using the word, names HUD or any of those types of governmental sounding entities in your domain names. Be very, very careful. You need email policies, policies that govern how agents behave on social communities, how they're identified and how they behave and how they respond, and have a plan of action when there is an altercation online. When people have differences and something flares up, you need to know about that and be aware of it. Lots of very, very special rules about video sites, and you need a really good blog policy. When we see real estate brokers getting sued and spending tens of thousands of dollars to have lawsuits dismissed, that are brought against them for new. I'm thinking about one case here where an agent joined a real estate brokerage, and the real estate brokerage, his new real estate brokerage, was sued for a blog post that he wrote even before he got there. So, was that a lawsuit that was likely to be, found, where the broker was likely to be found guilty? No. But it still cost tens of thousands of dollars just to get the darn thing dismissed. You have to be very, very careful on blogs. Very, very careful about copyright. Very, very careful about reputation, about defamation, libel, slander. Personal websites are very, very important. They should be covered in a policy manual on many, many levels, as far as identification, as far as making sure that certain of your real estate search conforms to the guidelines at your local association and multi-list. Copyrights, trademarks, reputation management, all of the canned spam rules. Canned spam is a set of regulations that applies to email. When you are sending out email blasts, you have to have permission from people to market to them. And these days, you have to have permission to market to people, using SMS text messaging as well. And there's a whole other set of rules and guidelines about that you should know, as well as as other things. So those are part of the caveats. Best practices. Again, here's where we will actually work and help you devise and create some email campaigns. Learn how to create and curate content. What is the difference? How can you curate content and use material and feature material that other people have written and created on your websites, and do that, within the confines of the law and in a way that is legal and correct. There are some really good ways of doing that are very, very easy and that work very, very well to help share lots of good content. Remember, this is about the content. And content, just as content is key in reaching consumers and developing content, content is the core of issues. It's not just about the tools. We have heavens knows we have enough of discussion around the real estate space about all of the tools that people can use, but it's not the tools that get people into trouble. It's the content. It's the content that people create that falls outside of the boundaries, that is, that's not right, that needs to be taken a look at. How can you use the public domain? There's an awful lot of very, very rich information in the public domain that real estate agents can use very, very easily. There are articles, there are books, there are pictures, photos, videos, and all kinds of public domain content that you can use and harness without getting into any trouble at all. And, you just have to do it, and you have to do it right. You can learn how to use, and we talk about this, how to apply Creative Commons, how to use Creative Commons licensing, both for the content you create, and if you want to be able to share it, and you want to share it with people without impunity, or to be able to use other content that people have offered according to several Creative Commons licenses, and we talk a lot about that. We talk about different social network strategies. Part of the whole notion of risk is not just the risk of getting in trouble with the law, it's the risk of looking stupid if you don't do things in a way that is consistent and conforms to to community guidelines in any given social network. And every social network has its own culture, its own terms of service, its own set of community guidelines, its own flavor of community management. And learning how to adapt to the different communities is very, very important. We see a lot of people using these tools. Again, it's all about tools. How can I be efficient and use, a content tool that's going to blast my information to 100 different websites? Well, that's not necessarily a good idea. If you're using tools and you're posting to microblogging sites like Twitter at the same time that you're sending stuff to LinkedIn and Facebook and blogs, there are different languages. There's a different construct, a different content construct in many, many different types of social networks, and those are important to know and understand. SMS text autoresponders are probably one of the biggest missed opportunities for real estate agents ever. Work with an SMS text autoresponder. Do it right. Use it according to best practices where where it's permission based. Make sure people have an opt out. But you can literally build an SMS text autoresponder campaign that's interactive, that talks back and forth with somebody, and do that on autopilot. And that's one of the things we're going to show you how to do. Voicemail technology, again, that's very, very important. It's very, very rich, extremely efficient, and a great technology to use. For instance, when you're planning a webinar, when you want to send reminders, when you want to send a hello, you can do direct-to-voicemail technology. Use direct-to-voicemail technology in many, many ways. But again, you've got to be careful that you're doing it within within the framework of what you're allowed to do. Same thing, recorded messages is another great way to expand your marketing, to reach more people, and we show you that. So we're going to be working a lot with best practices. and a lot with the caveats. And for every caveat and for every issue and for everything that you shouldn't do, we have a best practice, and this is how we're designing the program. In the past, we just worked with the caveats, and again, that really was something that we learned was not the best idea. So 2012 sees us with a much more evolved real estate social media policy, with a much richer social media policy. Watch for the social media policy and the broker implementation guide, and if you're interested in this blueprint, take a look at the blog post below. You can download the blueprint as a mind map or as a PDF. And if you want to to hear some more in-depth discussion about different aspects of social media policy, get on our mailing list, and I'll let you know when our next video is, and we will be sharing some very, very rich and useful information with you in the days ahead.